intro guy today did an awesome job. He did that one without notes today, which was killer. Last time he had notes, it was awesome. He's a total pro at this now. He's a natural. Kathy Harrington's in big trouble. Joe will watch out, Kathy. Watch out. You can't take a day off around here. You'll get filled in for permanently. So thank you, Joe, for doing double duty, running technology for us and also doing the intros. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. We do have a great show for you today, but just before that, let's do some quick housekeeping items. On the right-hand side of your toolbar is the Questions tab, and we want to get your questions answered. And so just type your questions away. We'll do our best to answer every one. Again, we may not answer questions till the end of the segment, so we can group them or batch them, or we may answer them free flow. Depends on how they're sort of trickling in, flooding in, and if there is a topic that we want to make sure we get the answer to. So fire off your questions as quick as you can. Without any more delay, let me introduce my first guest. This is Lisa Pasquale. Did I say that right?
No, not
Dang,
quite.
Pasquale?
Pasquale.
Pasquale. See, Joe messed me up. Kathy, where are you? Come back. Lisa Pasquale from the Danville office. Sorry about that.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So you are an expert that's coming to talk to us about how to build our business through business networking.
Yes.
Yes, and how that can help us grow our commissions because it's trust-based and those kinds of things, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, we're so glad that you're here.
Thank
so
you.
let's just dive in and get to some of these questions. First question is, how do you do it? How do you build your business with business owners and a business network? What's that mean? What's that look like?
Well, first let me start by saying that this is a good refresher course for me, too, because I stopped doing this many, many years ago when my REO business took off.
Right.
So there simply just wasn't enough hours in the day to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this went by the wayside, my business networking. And
so that's a really good point. Like sometimes as we get busy, we stop doing the simple things or the basic things that got us to where we were successful in the first place.
Yeah. So when you invited me to come here today, I'm all fired up again about building my business network again. So
the teacher becomes the student every time, right? Every time. Good.
So the goal that I would share with the audience today is to increase your net income by having a business network. And you're going to increase your net income because you're going to increase the number of people in your database that will refer you business, and the types of referrals you'll receive from business owners will be of a higher quality. And I'm going to show you how to do this by focusing on developing an intimate relationship with your business network and how to become the trusted advisor in your database. So
instead of like what I hear you saying then is instead of like a geographical farm, for example, which many agents do and do them successfully, you almost have what I'll call a business owner farm. So you have a marketing plan, an approach that's specifically geared and designed for business owners.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
And I'll go into that a little bit more as we move along.
And are these, when you say business owners, is it small to medium-sized business, large? Are you marketing to Larry Ellison or?
No, I would say small to medium business owners.
Okay.
People that you yourself would interact with, like an auto mechanic or a dry cleaner or a plumber, an electrician, people like that.
Just as you go through your normal life, your normal daily life, looking for business owners that you can develop a relationship and network with.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
So for the brand new people on the call, just getting started in the real estate business, a database is a list of relationships.
Right.
It's just like any other relationship. Some are better than others, and some you need to qualify the relationship. So we'll get more into that a little bit later.
Okay, sounds good.
So today we'll discuss how to connect with business owners, where to connect with business owners, and how to network. Lots of people talk about networking, but lots of people don't know how to actually do it. So we'll give you a few tips on that.
Perfect.
So in the real estate business, the realtors, we're the straw that stirs the drink.
Yep.
So we're the connector. So you have to be outwardly focused on connecting people. And try not to get into the mode of, I'm here to help people buy and sell homes. And what does referring a babysitter have to do with selling a home?
Right.
The thing is it has a lot to do with selling a home because, again, we're the connector. People are coming to us to get referrals, and we want to be that referral source for our clients and our friends.
Yeah, one of the concepts that I've taught, we have a video on it on our YouTube channel, shameless plug, is emotional bank account. And when you make deposits, referring a babysitter, referring a plumber, when you make those deposits in people's emotional bank account, then their propensity to refer you goes up.
Yeah.
because now you've made deposits. It's not just, hey, who do you know that wants to buy or sell a house in the next 30 seconds? You've had experiences with them where you've made these deposits, and that then enables you to make withdrawals from the emotional bank account.
Yeah, it's all about becoming these people's trusted advisor and who they can go to for important things like a babysitter.
Yeah, good.
I mean, that's an important subject matter
Absolutely.
for parents.
For sure. Yeah. Newly real to me in the last 14 months. Yeah.
Great. So people used to call me consistently for referrals.
Mm-hmm.
They'd say, Lisa, do you know a plumber, a roofer, a good tax preparer, an estate attorney, and like I said, even a babysitter. And I was known to everybody in my database and around my small community in Tracy as the person that knows everybody.
Right.
So that was good. And Zig Ziglar says, help enough people get what they want, and you'll get what you want.
Couldn't be more true.
It's the law of reciprocity and givers gain.
Yeah, the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I would suggest to the listeners to take a look at your database. And your database should be a list of your relationships. So you want to focus your time and energy and resources on your A and A plus people in your database.
How do you rate what's an A or an A plus?
Okay, so we'll talk about that. So an A plus business owner would be someone that you want to go to lunch and spend some time with.
Mm-hmm.
This would be someone that you want to refer business to, and someone that would endorse you, someone that would speak very highly of you and that's an advocate for you.
Now, how much do you, so a little off topic, but how much do you weight, like, is it someone you want to have lunch with? You get where I'm coming from? Or is it just purely based off this person runs a relocation company, or this person is in a position where they should be able to send me a lot of referrals? Or are you looking at quality of referral or quality of person you want to spend time with, or both?
I think it has to be a combination of both, because if you're going to be having lunch with this person, maybe they'd sense that you really don't like them that well.
Right, sort of just a business meeting, not a lunch.
Yeah, you definitely want to have a relationship with this person.
Someone that you would really want to connect with anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay, good. So that's an A plus. Someone that you would be willing to take to lunch.
Yes,
Got it.
And that you want to get to know and have an more intimate relationship with.
Okay, it's a good measuring stick.
Yeah, so an A business owner would be people that you've referred your clients to, and they've done a great job for your clients, but maybe they haven't referred you business yet. But maybe that's because you haven't asked them.
Right.
So you have to always ask.
You do have to ask.
Yeah, so you need to let them know that you also work by referral, and of course you're never too busy for any of their referrals.
Right. Okay.
And a B business owner would be someone that you haven't done business with yet, but you know that they own a business and you're connected with them somehow, and you haven't experienced a transaction with them yet, either from their business, being an auto mechanic, maybe you haven't taken your car to their shop, or they haven't referred you a real estate transaction yet. But this is a relationship that can be cultivated, and eventually this person could become an A or A plus person in your database.
How often do people in your business database, do the letter grades change? How often does a A become an A plus? Do A pluses ever become B's and C's? Like, how often is there a migration of your database?
I would say anybody that has sent you more than 2 closed referrals, closed being the key word.
The key word, the operative word there?
I would say that they are an A plus person in your database.
Okay.
And I would think over time, relationships change. We have friends, and then we don't have friends.
Sure.
So I would say that that people can slip from an A plus rating in your database, but
or, their wife becomes a realtor, right? Or something like that. I mean, you could have a situation where someone who was a great referral resource for you, you still love going to lunch with them, but then they get their real estate license.
Sure.
They may not be.
That happens a lot.
Right? Yeah. Back in the go-go days, they used to say they were going to start checking for real estate licenses at the airport because not everybody had a driver's license, right?
That's funny.
Yeah. So there are times when things can move throughout the hierarchy.
There are.
Okay.
But I would say that anybody that sent you 2 or more closed referrals would always remain on your A plus list unless their wife became a realtor.
Right. Name a baby after them if they're sending you 2+ closed referrals.
Exactly. So so you want to start by identifying these people and sit down with a copy of your database and add all of the business owners that you know and do business with, and ask yourself, who would endorse me? Who would endorse me if asked and shown how?
And really that brainstorming exercise is like just sit down with a glass of wine and a notepad and just start just scribbling out, people and think about what you do as you go through your daily life. Okay.
Exactly.
Like just this morning, I have the same coffee shop I stop at every morning. And I happen to know the manager of that coffee shop is an A's fan and a Warriors fan. So he and I spent like 10 minutes talking about the A's game and the Warriors game last night. And he's someone that I don't have in my database that I probably should. That would be someone that I could go, man, I really need to add him in and start marketing to him. So as you start to think about it more, it sort of feeds itself as you train yourself to add to it. Adding to it doesn't become as hard.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
So here's what I was going to say is if you'll do these things, take the steps and write down all these people that you know and add them to your database, you'll be taking a major step in the right direction towards building a business network.
Those first steps are the hardest, right?
Yeah. So Keith, here's the key that I want everyone to get on the call today.
Good.
It's easier to ask someone that owns a business for business. So let me say that again. It's easier to ask someone that owns a business for business. And why is that? Because they're in business for themselves, and they get it. They're not offended by or they're not uncomfortable with.
They ask people for business every day.
All the time.
All the
exactly.
time. Yeah.
So they're much, much easier to approach than your general.
That's great.
Database.
So what I hear you say then is for you, the ability to ask for referrals, the comfort level with asking for proactively prospecting for referrals is a lot easier with business owners.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Now, what I find interesting is there could be someone on the call who actually goes, well, wow, I'd be more intimidated, right, asking a business owner for a referral. And what the truth is for you is always the truth, right? And for you, it's a lot easier. For someone else, it might be a lot harder. What matters is that you ask for referrals. Kind of doesn't matter where, right? Whether it's business owners, neighbors, family members, doesn't matter. You just need to do it a lot. But I agree with you that the psychology behind a business owner is out looking for business all the time. So they do understand the reciprocity of business and how business works. So that's great. That's an awesome aha. If you guys didn't write that down, you made a mistake. So somebody jot that down. Unless you're driving, then just voice it to yourself or something, or tell whoever's in the car with you. All right.
So here's the second biggest key that I think that's critical. If you send someone a referral, it's critical that you follow up and see how the referral went. How did things go, Mr. Jones? Is that the type of client you're looking for? Great. And then you need to remind them again that you're never too busy for their referrals.
Yeah.
So you got to follow up and make sure that everything went well.
Do you have a systemized plan for how you follow up, or is it just sort of?
I think that anytime there's once you get into a transaction with their referral, anytime there's a milestone that happened, you just want to send them a quick email saying, here's an update on where we're at with the transaction and things are going well, and I really thank you for referring me this wonderful client. And we all know that the people that are on the call are going to do a great job for the referral. Yeah. But you just want to let them know how it's going.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about the times you've referred somebody and you never heard anything back, right? And it doesn't mean it went poorly. It probably went fine. But if someone would have gone the extra mile to hey, thanks so much for referring that plumber. He came by today. He gave us a great bid. Seemed like a really nice guy. And then as you continue to communicate about it, you're reinforcing who you are and what you do.
Sure, and it just goes along with that trust factor again as well.
Good.
Knowing that you're taking good care of them.
Okay. So then I've made the list. Now how do I connect?
Let's see. Well, again, we want to be the straw that stirs the drink.
Yep.
So the real estate market is the single most important component in the economy. 20% of the gross domestic product in the United States is connected to real estate. I mean, wow, that's huge.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. So, the construction business is hugely connected to real estate market. Plumbers,
directly correlative. Yeah.
All that stuff. So here are some tips with connecting with business owners. Now, for some folks, this might come naturally, but for others, maybe you've never networked before. So here's some tips on how to do that.
Okay, great.
So number one, be friendly. Oh, there's a concept.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
If you're happy and you know it, tell your face. That kind of thing. You want to make sure
That's awesome. By the way, I think that is the first sing-along we've ever had on the radio show. That was epic.
Well, that's terrible.
That was good. No, you nailed it. If you're happy and you know it, tell your face.
If you know, how's it go? If you're happy and you know it, tell your face.
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's great. Okay, be friendly. Good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of frustration in the market right now. There's a lot of negative news that's happening in the world. I mean, people are shooting our school children, and people are blowing up people at events.
Yeah.
So it's all pretty bad.
Yeah,
so,
heavy. Yeah.
So, and people have their own stuff going on too.
Yeah.
So you want to be sensitive to that, but you want to be friendly.
Yeah.
And people will feed off of your energy and want to do business with people who are enthusiastic and friendly.
Kindness has a gravity to it.
Yes.
Kindness has a way that it pulls people towards it. And the more that you can create that, manifest that, and put that out, be the kind of person other people want to be around.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Good. Be friendly. I like it.
Be friendly. So number 2, be confident.
And sing the song a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Remind yourself.
That's right. Be confident.
So number 2 is be confident. You may not have sold a listing since Kennedy was president.
Sure.
But you don't want people to know that.
Right. You don't have to put that on your business card.
No, you don't.
Right.
So be confident and don't hide out in the corner.
Now, how do you do that when you don't feel confident? Is it fake it till you make it, or like saying be confident's easy, but how do I do that? I'm brand new. I got my license 87 seconds ago. The ink is not even dry yet.
Yeah.
Or I haven't sold a house in a while, and I don't feel confident. I've been in the business 15 years, but man, I'm in a slump.
But nobody knows that. Right. So, everybody wants to talk about real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a party, and how many hundreds of people will come up to you and want to talk real estate?
All of them. It's annoying.
I know it is. So you just have to stay current on what's going on and what your local market is doing, and be aware. And you'll come across confidently. You don't have to worry.
And anchor into what you are. You know in your soul what you're already really good at. So figure out how that intersects with real estate, and anchor into that confidence until you have the real confidence across the rest of the spectrum of your business.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Number 3, have the right motives.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go to the functions with a dollar sign on your forehead. Looking for the richest guy in the room and latch onto him.
Right. Why'd you use that example? I'm just curious.
Because I've done it before.
All right. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I was looking for a husband when I did that.
Right. How'd that work out?
Not so good.
Oh, well, shoot. See? Have the right motives. Man.
So when you're there, the goal has to be to build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you'll get these people what they need, and then you'll be of great service to them. And have the service mindset. Get out of the office and get together with people who are excited about their businesses.
Yeah, when I started my career, I used to go to networking events. I'm a very goal-oriented, goal-centric person, and so I'd go and say, I'm going to collect 20 cards today. And it was a bad model. That didn't work. I found my results were really poor. I'd get the 20 cards, but I didn't have any real conversations with anyone because I was just trying to manufacture enough of a discussion to trade cards. Yeah. I started to say, I'm going to go have 3 great conversations.
There you go.
And amazingly, the connection level that I had with the people went way up when I was just focused on having and might have been about real estate, might not.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have some very interesting, impactful conversations with people. And my connectivity level, my referral resource went way up as I just focused on having great conversations.
Good.
Yeah, good. Okay. Attend seminars.
Yeah, number 4, attend seminars together. There's a seminar everywhere, somewhere, every day in the real estate business.
For sure. Not? Yeah, everywhere. Yeah.
So maybe there's a great time management course you can take.
Or a great tech expo that could be coming up or something.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
So go together. It's a great way to connect with them, and it'll give you something to talk about and brainstorm about. Did you have a good time? Great.
Yeah. Gives you and you can network at the events, but you've got that commonality to discuss. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Number 5, a good old classic is to take the business owner to lunch. Mm-hmm. Break bread with people. Ask them about themselves. Get to know them and what's important to them. And maybe they're going through a life struggle right now, and you could refer a great book to them that might help them.
Yeah. The one other piece that I've done is there were times in my real estate career where budget was an issue. So I took them to coffee.
There you go.
Because I can buy you a coffee for, even now coffees are expensive, but I can buy you a coffee for up to $4 or $5, whereas a lunch might cost $45.
Sure.
So if you're just getting started or budget is a concern, don't take them to lunch, take them to coffee.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Or if there's if you're in the middle of the road, you want to do something other than coffee, breakfast is good.
Yeah,
breakfast is cheap.
Right. No one buys cocktails at breakfast.
I know that too.
Well, I can't say no one, but most people don't.
Right.
All right,
Bloody Marys are always on the menu.
Well, sometimes, I won't lie. Only on the weekends. All right. Nurture the relationship.
Right. So number 6, nurture the relationship. Spend time with these people. Bring the relationship along. It takes effort and time and energy, so you have to bring the relationship along if you're going to expect anything from it. It's just like your marriage or any other relationship you have.
So kind of like what you said before, the more you can make it be people that you're interested in, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
People that you would actually want to have spend some time with and have an interesting discussion with.
Definitely.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about where to network with these people. This used to be a huge part of my day. So I'm going to give you 5 places to network.
Okay.
So number 1, networking events. If you haven't been invited to one, host one. What's a networking event? Food. That's always a good way to get people together, especially realtors, right?
Yeah.
Optional booze. Chit chat with fellow business owners. Hang out and get connected.
Okay, good. So food, break bread together. If you can't find one, host one.
Host one,
okay,
exactly.
Good.
Okay, number 2, host a business mixer. Brainstorm with other business owners. You can do this with BNI, Toastmasters, Kiwanis, and chamber mixers. And you can check with your local chamber calendar. They always have these scheduled. And for those of you who aren't familiar with BNI, it's Business Networking International.
Mm-hmm.
And you can check for your local chapter at bni.com.
And BNI is where they let just one of each field in, right?
That's
so
correct.
One
realtor, one lender, one plumber,
right?
All of that.
Well,
so I know.
Just use the exact 3 same examples. A little bizarre.
We did.
Same wavelength. Weird. Okay.
So,
cool.
and if there's already a realtor in the group that you found, and they're very well
could be,
yes,
sure.
Start your own group.
Okay.
It's a great way to business network.
Yeah.
And I've started my own BNI group years ago, and I was the president. I've been the vice president and secretary and all of those positions that you would hold in the networking group. And it's just a wonderful way to connect with business owners.
Yeah, and it's a way that you can do the activities that you should be doing for your business, but you're calling about something different.
Definitely.
So instead of calling about residential real estate, you're calling about starting a BNI chapter.
Right.
Okay.
And
good.
if you're not sure how to do it, you could call a local president. I'm sure that they would love to have you take them to lunch and learn all about how to do that.
Yeah, and they're pretty systematic in how they set up those, right? They've
Yes.
got it pretty dialed in and pretty process oriented.
There's somebody that oversees it, and it will help you.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, so number 3, attend social gatherings. Keith, I don't know about you, but I've never met a successful hermit.
Right.
You have to get
Right.
out and talk to people and see people.
Right.
And again, everybody at the social gatherings wants to talk about real estate.
Good.
So, you when you get there and you're at the social gathering, you say, gee, I wonder if anybody in this room needs a plumber, an electrician, a painter. So you want to be the straw that stirs the drink and have the right mindset. And yes, you'll make money and you'll get referrals.
Now, I'm a pretty social person. So how do there are still times, though, where I just, I'm socialed out, right? I mean, this career of residential real estate is one where there's a lot of human interaction constantly, and sometimes I just want to sit in a quiet place and not talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. How do you balance because you could very easily attend a social function every single evening.
Every day, yeah.
And do you have a methodology for that, or how do you recharge? You get where I'm coming from?
Yes.
How do you deal with that challenge?
I did this. I need to be away from people a little bit. Yeah. People recharge me, and I'm excited about being with people, but I do have to have my alone and quiet time.
Right.
So when I was heavy into business networking, I planned my business networking functions on Mondays and Tuesdays. I had Wednesday as an office day, and then went back at it Thursday, Friday, and then, of course, took the weekend off. So,
that's great.
So it worked out well. There was a good balance for me.
Mix.
And I found that Tuesday nights were the night of the week that the chamber mixers were
kind of a good
were
dead.
held.
Yeah, kind of a good, not dead, but good week. Mondays can be tough. People are getting caught up from work. Fridays are tough because they've got other social engagements. So, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
So again, you're going to make money and you're going to get referrals, but you have to get out there and work it. I mean, network is, the last 4 letters are work.
Yeah, it's called
it
not
takes
net.
a lot of work.
It's not called net fun.
No.
Right. It's network.
And then you want to be careful at the social gatherings. You want to have fun, but you don't want to be the guy swinging from the chandelier with a drink in your hand.
I've never made that mistake.
I bet you haven't.
Okay, just that one time.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Don't go on YouTube and Google me. All right. Just kidding. You can. There's nothing there.
So then I think the key item number 4 would be to seek to provide value. And, we've touched on this. You just want to be a source of value to people.
Yeah. Shift the conversation, right? So make those emotional deposits. Good.
Okay. Number 5, seek out their personal interests. Ask questions. Don't go to these events and talk about yourself.
No.
Ask questions. People love to talk about themselves. It's their favorite subject. So you might be shocked to know how much you actually have in common with this person.
Yeah.
Find out what their interests are. What do they do? What are their hobbies? And you'll only get the information by asking questions.
And I also think, too, and I'd love your feedback on this, it's okay to, you need to have a certain level of transparency, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you got to be comfortable talking about the things that you're into, not talking about yourself like, hey, let me give you a 20-minute dissertation on how great I am.
Right.
But the more you share, the more they will feel comfortable sharing.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. It has to be a genuine
It's
conversation.
It's got to be, exactly, reciprocal and genuine.
Definitely.
Good. Okay.
Number 6, stay in contact consistently. However you stay in contact with your regular database, you'll want to do the same thing with your business owners.
So email, mail,
notes,
telephone
calls, sending them items of value, pop buys, all of that.
9 yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the key about this with a business owner is that they'll have a different appreciation for what you're doing. And they'll be thinking, hey, I need to do this for my clients. I don't contact my clients on a regular basis, and I should be. And so they may ask you how you do it. And this would be also a great way to connect with the business owner.
That's great. They know they should be doing it. Most of them are.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So when you do it, it reminds, man, this person is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
Good. So now we're going to talk about how to network.
Okay.
So you want to work your network. So the number one thing you want to do as you refer people, as we previously mentioned, is follow up.
Mm-hmm.
You want to cultivate the relationship. The goal should be to create a mutually beneficial relationship. And the freeway has to run north and south.
Right.
You can't just be the giver and never get anything in return.
Can't call them every day and say, who do you know today? Who do you know today? Who do you know today?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Gets annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to be seen as a giver of referrals, and again, remind people that you're never too busy for any of their referrals. It's very important.
Good. Mm-hmm. And then I like the piece where you talk about give consistent progress reports.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that often we don't do as good a job of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that would be my key point number 2.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Is to give constant progress reports. They typically, the business owners aren't typically looking for money or gifts.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to know how it's going.
Right.
And don't miss that opportunity to connect that dot.
Yeah.
With the business owner. And don't get too caught up in the deal and forget to give the progress report.
Yeah.
Kind of, like I said, any kind of milestone. Oh, we got the appraisal back, everything came in. I mean, they might not really know what that means necessarily,
Sure.
But at least they know it's moving along.
Well, and they know that you valued it, right?
Mm-hmm, sure.
And that you valued the referral and that you cared enough to follow up and follow through. I mean, we are always looking for reasons to contact our database. And when someone gives you a referral, giving them that regular status update, you're teaching them to continue to refer you because you've really communicated multiple times about what you do. Mm-hmm. You've communicated about the importance of it and how thankful you are for it. And you've honored that referral by communicating about it.
Definitely.
As opposed to just sort of letting it go into a black hole.
Yeah.
Now, how do you handle it when someone refers you and it doesn't work out? Right? Like maybe you met with them and they said, oh, yeah, we're totally want to buy, but we only want to buy in Danville and we're pre-approved for 150.
Well, that's a problem.
Right. So how do you...
You send them to Lisa and Tracy to sell them something in stock.
Perfect. Good. Yes. Yeah. Good plan. So how do you balance that with the referrer, right? Mm-hmm. To show them that you honored it, but maybe it doesn't work out. Do you just...
I think you just have to have the honest conversation.
Yeah.
You really thank them so much for thinking of you, and you hope that they'll think of you again.
Right.
And unfortunately, this person wants desperately to live in Danville, but the market's just not in their price range at this time. But I'm going to stay in touch with them, and maybe in a year or two, if their financial situation changes, we can reconvene and try it again.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, so again, honor it, communicate about it.
Definitely.
Nice.
Always communicate, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah, so I guess that's really all I have for you today. I've really enjoyed my time with you.
Okay.
And maybe you have some questions or something.
There is a couple questions.
Great.
I've been sprinkling them in as they've been coming in, but here is one that's asked: how do you handle it when you refer somebody and maybe it's a contractor that you've had a good experience with, but no one's perfect, no one bats 1,000, and so you refer a contractor and then it doesn't go so well, and they have a bad experience. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I amen to that. I've had that happen to me several times.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but it can happen.
It is. I think you have to find out from the contractor, where their heart is. Are they a turn 'em and burn 'em kind of a contractor, or do they want to have a relationship with you ongoing? So if they want to have a relationship with you ongoing, then you have to have a meeting of the minds and make the corrections, set the expectation, and maybe give it another try. If it was just completely disastrous,
might be time to shake hands and part friends.
Yeah. But I think it just depends on your circumstance and how much invested you have into this person already. During my REO business and during my investor flip period of time when I was working with my investor down in San Diego, we had numerous issues with contractors, and so you just have to find out if this is really a partner of yours, and make it work, or like you said, part ways.
Now, if you find out about it while they're in the process, do you intersect in and broker the solution?
Most definitely, yeah. Because you want to look good to the other person that's referring you, and to everybody concerned.
Well, and I do think it's a little bit self-help bookish, but problems do create opportunities.
They do,
right?
They do,
because it's easy when it's easy. It's not hard till it gets hard.
Yeah, the deepest relationships you have with people are those that you would have a problem with, so to speak, and then can communicate it, and that just makes your relationship even deeper. Yeah,
and it's a real way that you can differentiate yourself. Instead of running away from a problem, you run towards it, you help them find the solution. You can really shift the paradigm a lot by helping someone work through some of those solutions and problems.
Yeah, and that would be outside of the norm. So, again, you're building that trusted advisor.
Right, exactly. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
that was
Keith.
awesome.
Thank you.
I think one giant aha that I got from today that I'm so appreciative of is shifting the mindset of it's easier to get referrals from business owners because they're used to asking for referrals. They understand this reciprocity concept because they live it every day. They're always trying to get someone. They love it when they get referred someone to bring their car in for a brake job, or someone to get their hair cut, or I don't know why I use that example because I don't need that, but that sense of reciprocity for business owners is really impactful, and that lowers the barrier of resistance for myself to feel comfortable asking for referrals. And what I know is true, this is like true, the more you ask for referrals, the more referrals you get.
That's right. And the more comfortable it becomes.
Exactly. And so the more you can create a condition that's easier for you to ask, which is really what you've done with this whole concept, is you created a condition for yourself where it's easier for you to ask for referrals than it would be at an open house or your friend since you were in high school or whatever other condition that exists. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And we don't have an office out in the Central Valley. Maybe we will someday. So if any of the listeners have referrals for the Central Valley, Tracy, Manteca, Stockton, Modesto, I'm never too busy for any of your referrals.
See, look at that. She just asked for referrals again. She's a natural. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So one of the things that Lisa mentioned was going to events and networking at various events. This one we have upcoming on May 17th is a great example of the kind of event that you could bring someone to. Our tech fair is coming up on May 17th from 8:30 to 1 at the Pleasanton Hilton Hotel. We have national expert speakers. We've got our partners there. Last year's was amazing, great turnout, great feedback, tons of great information. And we also are going to be rolling out some things at this that you won't want to miss. So I promise if you, for some reason, don't make it to this, you will hear the agents in your office a buzz about some of the things that we have as a company that we're rolling out that are very exciting, very interesting. And, you want to be the one that's in the know, trust me, on some of these things. So May 17th, 8:30 to 1, Pleasanton Hilton Hotel. Be there or be square. Where does that even come from? Be square. I don't know. I'm going to Google that as soon as I'm done with this.
Before you were born.
Probably right. Probably right. Now we're going to talk about buyer loyalty in a super hot market with Jennifer Branchini from our Pleasanton office. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. Are you going to start your business networking group today?
I'm more of the successful hermit.
That's funny. I would describe you as a lot of things, but I would not describe you as a hermit. But okay.
No, that really stuck to me because
Yeah.
I am very much that way where I would prefer to not, I like blend in.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to blend in and
Uh-huh.
not stand out, but in this market, I mean, in this business,
Yeah.
you got to put yourself out there. So.
Right. Aren't you like the president of something right now? Or
Not quite.
Almost.
Only president-elect.
President-elect
Yeah.
of what?
Bay East
All right.
Association.
Hermit.
Yeah,
Not
I
at
know.
all. Okay. Whatever. I'm not buying it. All right. Question number one. We're talking about how to really create some buyer loyalty. We'll get into a little bit some of the why you want to create buyer loyalty. And I know that with all that's going on in the market and all the craziness, this is something that's important. But how do you set up a successful partnership with a buyer? How do you create that loyalty in your business?
I think the first thing is having a conversation. I mean, for how my business is, things come in from different people all across the U.S. as far as referrals.
Right.
And, it starts out usually with email. It's rare that they actually pick up the phone
anymore
and
Yep.
call.
Yep.
And so you have that email conversation. And I think initially that's where you've got to grab them.
Yeah. Now,
as far as
I'm notoriously guilty for this, but I'm already going to interrupt you because I think
Yes.
this is really valuable. So there are many lead generation opportunities that originate as an email dialogue, which is great. It's a great time leverager for us. I think email is a really powerful tool. How do you determine when to shift it from an email dialogue to a phone conversation or a face-to-face? Is there a time that feels right? Is it 6 emails? Is there a topic that feels like the shifter? Or how do you determine when it's time to elevate, escalate, or ask for that next level of?
I think it's initially reaching out, figuring out where everybody's at, and then as you move forward, because you are going to start looking at property
Right.
typically.
Hopefully, right.
So it's setting up some time on the phone. Let's do just a quick conversation, see where we're at. Kind of get to know each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, you do have those people that then say, I'd like to sit down with you and actually interview you. And I've been interviewed a lot more lately than I have been in the previous, 14 years.
Yeah.
So I maybe started more about 2 years ago, which was good. I think it's a great thing to be interviewed by a buyer because, you have to, I have a vision of my business and my business plan, and that has in there talks about the kind of people that I would like to work with.
Right.
Because
right.
I believe if you put that out there,
You'll
then
get
those
more
are the
of
kind
that.
of people that you're going to be working with.
Mm-hmm.
And listening, listening is so important to, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
For a reason.
And I have 3 kids, and it's really hard for me to remind myself I need to listen. What are they telling me? But it's the same with buyers. Like, I need to listen to them. They don't always tell you what they want.
Right.
Even the first 3 times you meet with them. And what they want may not be what they end up buying. And I know most people out there can attest to that, where you say, wow, we started on one track and now here we are.
Yeah.
So
Kind
I
of
think,
that old adage of buyers
Right.
are liars, right? But it's not true.
No,
We're
right,
just
exactly.
bad question askers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, it's, looking at yourself, what am I not doing if we're not going on if we're not on the same page?
Yeah.
So.
Like a buyer might say, I want a big lot, right? But we don't dig into, like, why do you want a big lot? Or what's a big lot mean to you?
Right.
Because I grew up in Berkeley and Oakland, right? So a big house to me is 1,500 square feet is big. If you are maybe from Pleasanton, Danville, San Ramon, a big house is maybe 2,000 square feet. If you're in Tracy, a big house might be 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. Different contextual life experiences mean, quote, big house, unquote, right? Yeah. Okay.
For sure. So, for instance, I met with, there's all this research out there, too, about young buyers saying
Yes.
that they don't want to be buyers.
Right.
The Gen Ys, the millennials, they're not into homeownership. And I actually completely disagree.
Yeah.
And having had a conversation recently with a couple, which was amazing. They asked the right questions. You know, the email dialogue was quick. We had a phone conversation, and then we actually met, went out, and at the end of our meeting, we sat down in the office and talked for over an hour about what their expectations were, what advice I gave them. It was so funny. I said to them, you know, when you find a house, go talk to the neighbors.
Yeah.
Knock on the door. They're going to tell you everything, particularly with REO properties. You know, you don't really know the history of that. And I laughed because I walked out of there and I said, no one's ever called me brilliant before. And she was like, that is brilliant. And, you know, you find out so much. They're the first ones that are going to tell you everything about the house. I know the neighborhood, but I don't know specifics on every single home.
That's
so,
good.
You know, being available, being attentive, I mean, those are huge things in this market.
How do you marry that with work-life balance?
And you have to set expectations. You know, hey, you know, I'm available via these avenues.
Right.
A lot of people, I've got some clients that are very text happy.
Yes.
And, you know, they'll text me on just something they see online. And then, you know, luckily for me, I'm very mobile. And that's how I'll look up something right away and then text them back and say, here's the deal. And sometimes I can't. You know, I have a family and I do some other things. So I can't always call back or that for an hour or so.
Yeah.
But it's setting those expectations of, you know, here it is. I'll always get back to you in that day. Just, you know, be a little patient sometimes.
Yeah.
I can't always get back to you in 1 minute.
Right. Good. I like this bullet point. Have your buyer be prepared to write an offer. Tell me what that means.
So that's something of setting them up to say, okay, here, if they've never purchased a home before, you got to set them up for success.
Yeah.
So what do you need? You know, you need to be prepared, having been pre-approved, have that letter ready and available.
Right.
I would actually like that letter in advance, and then every month or so we would just need to update that. Be prepared. You will be writing a check for a good faith deposit.
Right.
Be prepared to do that. You know, just understanding what that process is. You know, if we need to do it quickly, you know, we have everything electronic too, so if one's here and one's there, we can do it however we need to get it done.
Yep.
But just kind of let them know what that process is, and then setting them up for success to say, in this marketplace right now today, this is what you can expect. Be patient.
Right.
This may take a while. I had a listing on that I held open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I will tell you, it was really fascinating listening to conversations. They weren't talking to me.
You were just
but they
overhearing.
were commenting, you know, I really liked that other house. I'm really mad at my agent.
Right.
And I'm thinking, you're mad at your agent?
Right.
Like, that's not necessarily who you should be mad at.
Right.
It's part of the market.
Yeah. It's really tough, right? A buyer, they have all this emotional investment. Like, they're picking their home, right? And so making the mental choice to write an offer that's no small feat.
Right.
And it's tough. A lot of people won't take personal responsibility. And it can be a real challenge to say, it can't be their fault that they didn't get the house.
Right.
So that only leaves one other person. That's us a lot of times as the real estate professionals trying to help and serve them.
And that's one of the things that I always do with my buyers, just to say, I'm very connected in the real estate market. I know, or in this community, I know a lot of the realtors and have relationships with them, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
Somewhat helpful.
Somewhat, slightly.
Money sometimes talks more than that relationship, right?
Yeah, right.
But having that, and then completing, preparing, and submitting a fully completed offer.
Right.
I will tell you, last week my sellers were able to sign an offer.
As written?
As written.
What?
And I said to the agent, I think it's been 3 years since
That never happens.
since I've been able to say, go ahead and just sign it.
There's always something, right?
It was perfect.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
It was in a multiple offer situation. It just far stood out above all of them.
The others.
So I think that's a huge thing is, again, explaining that to your buyer. This is how I will represent you. We won't always have a win. You know, it may take us 6 or 7 times.
Sure.
But eventually we will get there.
And I think buyers need to be prepared in this market for the inconvenience of the process, right?
Yes.
Like buying a home is the dialogue I used to have with buyers was this is the big leagues of residential real estate. Like there isn't, nowhere is hotter. There may be places that are as hot, but nowhere is hotter. So buying a home in this market is really, really inconvenient. So are you ready in time and space in your life right now to take on a part-time job? Because if you aren't, it's totally okay, but this may not be the right time.
And you know that. And you start working with somebody and then they're really responsive and then suddenly
they go away.
They're not as responsive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
we've all been in those relationships, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Good. Now, do you use a buyer broker agreement?
I do not.
Okay.
I never have.
It's okay.
I'm very much, if this is working out between us, we create that relationship. I'm all about the relationship, and if they don't want to work with me, then I'm not going to bind them to that.
Do you have an exclusivity discussion with every buyer?
I do talk about kind of just the loyalty. I'm loyal to you. I would ask that you be loyal to me. Yeah. If there's something not going on, just be honest with me. And quite a few times, if I have had buyers come to me that say, I really want to work with you, but, you know, the agent I'm working with it's not working out.
Right.
Then I say, number one, you need to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yep.
Be honest and upfront. That's the best thing you can do. That's what we want to know. We want to know. We just want honesty.
Yeah. Yeah. Honesty and transparency.
So
good.
I'm not going to force a relationship.
Right. Okay. Cool. Next set of questions. Now, what actually happens? So you've attracted the buyer. Now you're working with them. How do you work with the buyer? How do you balance, you know, the craziness of this market and the urgency that is being created and all of that stuff? How do you work with your buyers?
So, one, when I see the properties come up on the market, you know, I always set them up again. Tour days on this day in this city, open houses on the weekend.
Do you send your clients on broker tour?
I only send them on broker's tour if they're with me.
Got it. Okay.
And then I let them know if there's an offer deadline.
Okay.
So up front, I'll review the offer, the emails that are sent out with the listing links and say, okay, these properties are open this weekend and they're looking at offers on this date. You know, let me know if you want to get together. We'll go out and check them out, or if you guys are going to be out on your own. Yep. So sometimes they want to go out and do the open house thing on their own first before they, you know, call me up and say, okay, now we kind of know what area we really want.
How often in this market do you have a showing appointment with a buyer? Is it once a week, once a month? Catch as catch can?
A showing appointment with a buyer?
Yeah, where you're
probably 4 or 5 days a week right now.
Wow. Okay, so it's as the property comes on the market, you're saying, let's go look at this one.
Or it's multiple buyers. I honestly.
Yep.
Probably about 3 weeks ago, I said, if I get another buyer referral, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm only one person.
Right.
Which is a very good thing to have.
Yes, that's a high-class problem.
It's a great thing. But it's, you know, it's that, oh my gosh, okay.
One more buyer. Right.
So running a little bit ragged occasionally. And I'm sure others identify with that. Showing and writing offers and not having that success and trying to keep everybody's spirits up.
Because it's stressful. How many offers do you think a buyer has in them? I've asked a lot of people on this show that question. But
oh, it's a good question.
Yeah, how many offers do you think a buyer has in them before they start to go, just burn out? It's either they're going to leave you, right, because it's got to be someone's fault, not their own, or they're going to leave buying altogether.
I would say in my most recent experience where they ended up renting for a year because they were in this tiny apartment, I said, you just go rent something right now. Yeah. They were 7.
7, yeah. The answer I usually hear is somewhere between 5 and 7. It seems like most buyers, somewhere between 5 and 7 kind of go, enough is enough. Now, there's always the extreme ones that are willing to write 13 and the people who do it the first time and they just think this whole bidding process is icky and they go away. But most of the time, it's somewhere between 5 and 7. Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's shifting a little bit now because I'm noticing the conversation's changing. It's not I have to have a house. It's I really like a house, but the prices now have come up so much that I'm just maybe going to wait a little bit until they start coming down again. Right. So we're back there. Like the short-term memory. Buyers have very short-term memories.
Yeah, and at a national level, at a local level, and as a company level, we are seeing a slight increase in inventory. So we're seeing inventory drift up just a little bit. A lot of that is seasonality. We tend to see inventory levels rise during the spring and summer selling season anyway, so it's not too dramatic. How do you handle it when a buyer says, prices have gone up too fast, I think I'm going to wait a year? What do you say to them when it's like, good? Or
I think it depends on the situation. If they're, I don't want my buyers to get into a situation that a lot of them did in 2005 and 6.
Yep.
I want them to be in a home that they feel good about and can afford. And so it depends on their finances. If they're a 450 buyer and now all the properties are 510 and then they've got a bid 50,000 over, now they're looking at eating top ramen.
Right. Right. From a budget standpoint, the math just doesn't work.
Because not everybody has cash to put down, or 50% or whatever it is that we're seeing a lot of. And I don't think that's right. So I think it depends on the buyer.
And as a professional, right, we need to make a determination on what we think as well. Like if you really believe the market's going to go down in a year, well then you should be telling all your buyers to wait, right?
Right.
And if you think it's not going to slow down, then you should have that discussion as well. If you think it's going to, the rate of increase will slow, but it will still trend flatter up. That's a dialogue that you should have.
Right. And that's what I do, Tom. I said it's very much, I don't know how to do this on the radio.
Yeah, for those of you that can't see, she did an awesome job of showing a line graph that was going flat and then up and then flat and then up and then down a little and then up. It was really, really well done. And I wish you could have seen it.
And I definitely can't sing, so that was my best.
All right. But the question that I used to ask is, because I think buyers buy because of timing in their life, not timing in the market. And so when a buyer says to me, I think I'm going to wait until the market goes down, that's just their way of defending a decision they've already made. And so the question that I would usually ask is, that's totally okay. Tell me what's going to be different for you in a year. And it's usually I'm going to save more money. I'm going to go rob a bank.
Right.
There's some trigger event in their life that I've decided I'm going to go interview for the Southern California position with my company. Be okay with that, but ask the question.
Right.
Because that'll give you some clarity into how to follow up, when to follow up, if you want to follow up. So just tell me what's going to be different for you in a year. And then just see what they say. Totally detached from the outcome. Yeah, good.
Exactly.
Speed. How are you handling the speed of this market? My intuition and from dialogues that I've had with agents is, buyers, as the market has heated up, are getting more and more demanding of time, responsiveness. How do you balance that with having a life and 3 kids and president of A East and super cool husband and all the things you've got? How do you balance all that?
Again, it's that setting of expectations and looking at what it is, prioritizing. So if there's a house that comes on, and most times you can't even get in until the broker's tour. And so I always say, I will be there tomorrow.
Right.
I'll check it out if I'm available. If you'd like to meet me there, let's go. Or it's going to be open this weekend. They're looking at offers next Wednesday. We've got some time. Let's set up the time on the weekend and get everybody together.
Yeah.
Because then what happens if you jump through hoops and do it, it's with one.
Right.
And then the wife or the husband needs to see it.
Right.
And then you're out there again for another 2 hours, which is fine, but it's
trying to
be more efficient because you've got several of those scenarios going on out there.
Good. All right. Next one. Go to the next question. So what went wrong? Where do buyers go bad? How do you tell about that?
Well, I think there's a big question of, I know what I hear on the association side and what's coming up this week at CAR is ethics. I hear more and more of those comments. How do we improve the ethics in our industry?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of us realtors that are working on trying to figure out, well, how do we improve that? And I can see that with other, there's other game players out there that have no problem saying, hey,
if you want to get this listing, you should write with me.
If you want this house, I'll represent you and you use my lender and we'll get you in.
Yeah.
Is that the right thing?
No, I'll answer that. No, hell no.
Yesterday I was, again, at my own listing holding it open, and I had a buyer come up to me and say, we saw, We were here the other day with our realtor. Yep.
Right.
I make it just, first of all, I don't double end ever.
Right.
But anyway.
It's completely legal, completely ethical for those of you that do it.
Completely legal. It's personal choice.
Yep, no problem. That's a future radio show. Joe, will you write that down? Yes. To double end or not.
So she says, we don't feel like we really connected with our realtor. Will you represent us? And I'm saying, no, not in this case.
Right.
She showed you the home, which is that there's that procuring cause, and then there's, the...
Well, and so there's the legal stuff, right? But there's also just like the right thing to do.
The right thing to do, right.
And at the end of the day, that's just the right thing to do.
And so if, as a listing agent, too, if you flip over, educate those buyers a little bit.
Yeah.
To say, hey, this is how it works, and this is the right thing to do. Because if we're not self-policing, if you will, as far as helping educate those that are out there to, what is that word? It's not a competitive, but we're cooperative.
Co-opetition?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like we're a very, group that really works together, even though we compete against one another.
Yeah.
And it's so important
because
for
we
us
have to
help.
We're competing until we get into escrow, and then we're collaborating and cooperating once we get into escrow. I mean, we do have to work together to manage the transition and the transaction.
Right.
So it's completely true. I get that there's pressure in the industry right now, and that there are, it's sort of like the sports analogy, which isn't always a good one, but maybe it's because I'm thinking about Cam, but it's a sports analogy, which isn't a good one. But if everybody's doing steroids, then maybe I feel like I need to do steroids too to stay competitive, right? Mm-hmm. Because if I don't do steroids, the other guy's going to hit more home runs, and then I'm out of the league. Mm-hmm. But the right thing is always the right thing. And just because there are listing agents, I'm not naive enough to think that there aren't. I know that there are listing agents that at their open houses say, look, I'm going to get 15 offers, and the one who writes with me is going to be the one who wins. I know there are listing agents that are saying that at open houses to buyers. I promise you those individuals may have some short-term success, but they will not be in this business long-term. Mm-hmm. You can make some good money in this industry if you want to break the rules and do things you shouldn't do for a short period of time. You cannot have a long, sustainable career for 15, 18, 20 years of great income, great quality of life, all the reasons we love this business. It's impossible to maintain that for the long term if you do business shady, if you do business that way. So it's hard in the moment to do the right thing. Totally agree. But the practical reality is if you do the right thing and have that commitment to doing the right thing, then you get to stay in this industry. Mm-hmm. If you don't, karma, the posse, whatever, it will come back and get you. It does every time. I've seen it time and time again. Many of the agents that I knew when I was selling that didn't do things the right way, they'd have a 3-year career, 5-year career, but they were out of the business. Why? Well, because you can't. It's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. It is not sustainable.
And I think that also circles back to the very beginning of that initial conversation you have with your buyers, setting them up, is letting them know, how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the right thing and here's the wrong thing.
All right, your top tip. Communicate, communicate, communicate.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Don't disappear. You know, it's like the sellers. I think the biggest feedback is they don't hear from their agent enough.
Right.
And I think as a buyer, no matter what, even if you're not calling them every day, I think there needs to be some sort of a touch. And I know we get busy and we get tired and need to sort of withdraw once in a while, but you always have to make sure you're touching them so that they know that you're out there and they're working but with their best interest in mind.
Yeah, if you aren't talking to them, someone is.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, or they're going to go to that open house.
Or they're going to go find someone who will.
Someone else.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that's an interesting balance. I do think you need to schedule time for yourself in this kind of market. You need to make some appointments with yourself for whether it's date night, time with the kid, whatever. But you also need to make sure you have consistent, persistent, regular interactions with your buyers to update, find out what's going on. The really motivated ones are bugging you all the time. So then it's just respond. But that other tranche, how do you move them up the motivation hierarchy or evaluate them? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. By regular communication and seeing what the reaction is.
Exactly.
Have you broken up with any buyers in this market? Well, you told one to rent.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. So I think too, most of the top buyers agents or agents that do really good buyer representation that I know are willing to tell someone what they believe is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the truth is maybe you should wait.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should rent. Maybe this isn't the right time for you to buy. Don't be worried about losing that quote transaction unquote because they probably weren't going to convert anyway.
Well, I think that's the thing is reading between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Is seeing their behaviors and their, if one wants it and the other one's hesitating and then, he's doing it because she wants it.
Right.
At the end of the day, when I told them to rent, they had a signed lease in 2 days.
Right.
That was that fast.
Yeah.
So they were definitely, that's what they needed to do for now.
They were actually begging you to tell them that.
I think so.
Which is why they rented so quickly, right? Like their actions will tell you more than what they say.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Great feedback. Jen, I know how busy you are with all your buyers and all your political commitments and leading, being one of the leaders of the Association of Realtors. So thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you giving the feedback.
Happy to share.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week. Thank you all so much. Again, we have the Tech Fair coming up. Don't miss that. And we will have another stacked radio show for you next week. Thanks so much and make it a great week. See?
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
Don't worry about it next
You
time.
made it very comfortable.
Good.
Thank you.
Jen, good job.